Well, hi there and welcome along to our final show of Friday Night Lights. I'm Tom Malone, joined by Johnny Ward and Brian Sheeran, regular contributors. And later on the show, we'll be having the second part of our visit to Sarah Lynham's stable as well. But Johnny, it's kind of weird because we had a Dundalk on a Wednesday as well. Now we're here on a Friday, but you actually went, did you? Yes.
I was there, yeah, and apparently there was I was talking to the racecourse manager, Jim Martin, and he was saying the crowd there last Friday was absolutely heaving, and you can see now they've started to work on the new indoor area for the owners and trainers, and it's kind of, I suppose, it's renovation stage at the moment, but it's a great place to go racing. I really would have, even last night was very quiet, but like when you get a crowd, a reasonable crowd on Friday night, you've all the comforts you would have without having to go to like a horrible weather national hunt meeting, and you've a great bar and food facilities, very reasonably priced, good atmosphere. And the beauty of it, I think, which I really only appreciated last night, is you can actually just watch them at the winning line and watch the horses go by at 30, 40 miles an hour, or the ones I backed going considerably. But it's a great night out.
Cool. Well, they start earlier now, which is a little strange. So everyone gets home nice and early. Anyway, we'll start at 4:30. There could be a good thing in this. Anthony McCann's runner here. That's Not Me. Probably looks an obvious favourite, Brian.
Yeah, I'd say this is a good thing. Wasn't outside of the first four in her last six before breaking her duck. And did you see how quick she broke? She was like a bullet, real professional little filly now. She's after developing and getting stronger right throughout the season. I could see her running well in a big handicap during the summer if she was to keep on progressing the way she is. And
it's a lovely bit of place in this, isn't it?
Exactly.
It looks like a glorified poor maiden, really.
Yeah, it's one of these winners' races, but she's the only winner.
She sets a fair standard for like if you're just to look on paper, you'd have to respect Gerline's anything he runs in a race like this. The newcomer, very fast, but that only costs I think $2,000 or something at the sales.
Yeah. You'd hardly think she's going to run to 80 plus first time.
Yeah, exactly. I think she's 82, and you've got Danny Sheehy's claim. So I don't know what price she's going to be. I think maybe something a shade of odds on. She might be half interested at that, but I think she's a good thing. But I have three other fancies just away from the obvious, but she's a good thing.
Okay. She's an obvious way to start. But listen, start with a winner, that's fine. All right, on to the 5 o'clock. This is not an easy race, Johnny Ward. I got around and played 4 selections I could tip up in this. Who do you fancy?
I fancy Red Avenger, to be honest. I think.
Oh, good. He's one of the 4.
Yeah, this is a race that should suit him. He's a horse who I think he should be basically ridden to put to sleep in these races because he's a high cruising speed. And a lot of the times this season he's been beaten, he's lacked cover and he's come out wide, and I don't think that suits him at all. The one day he did win was at the Curragh over 7 furlongs. He won by short head. I think he might have had to survive Stewart's inquiry. But this race will have plenty of pace in it. Damien English's horses, he's hitting the crossbar a fair bit, but they're running really well.
Yeah, he had 4 in his, was it last Friday, and finished 3rd, 2nd, 2nd, 2nd.
Yeah, and he'd 2nd and a 3rd again last night.
And a 1-2 the previous week as well, so he's good for him.
And Red Avenger is down to 67. Like he's probably one of the older war front horses in training in these parts, but he's holding his form reasonably well. He was an eye catcher and a claimer the last day. And I'd be very disappointed if he's not in the first 3 anyway, and he'd be an each-way price.
You like one of this as well, Brian?
Yeah, I'm kind of going against the Graham Rodway school of thought. I'm not sure if you listened to the postcast last week. He was talking about I always go against the solid one.
Go against the solid one.
But I'm going to go with the solid one here. I think this Alan Bilzane, he won 2 starts back over the course and distance. I was there that night, and I was thinking this horse will definitely win again off 3 or 4 pounds higher before the winter is over. And it got no run the next day over the same course and distance, and it was over a mile, bumped into that good horse of Joseph's, the good Equiana horse of Joseph, Equitant I think it is, the last day over a mile. I just think it's really solid. If you got any kind of 4 or 5 to 1, should run an each way race.
Colin Keane and Mick Halford, do you think that's something that could happen again during the summer? Obviously, look, Jer's there and he's got his, a lot of horses. But
this time last year, Halford he used the best available, which was Pat Smullen, wasn't it, when he was going for the championship with Colin Keane. Obviously, it's just his modus operandi at the moment is to use the best available. He's no stable jockey there anymore with Shane Foley gone. So I don't know, maybe there's just a lack of.
Yeah, I know. Colin Keane probably needs something else to happen if he's ever to become champion jockey again. You would imagine he can't just rely on Ger. He would need another big-ish yard to come on board. You would think, wouldn't you?
Ger had an outstanding season last
2
season.
runs here,
So it'll all swings and roundabouts. I'm sure it'll turn again this year.
Yeah, I think it's just something that maybe we'll keep an eye on. Keep an eye on it and remember where you heard it first. Right, let's move on to the 6 o'clock, the 7 furlong handicap. You like one in this?
Oh, sorry, the 6 o'clock. Yeah, did a piece with David Marinan the other day, talking about his horses going for Dubai. You've got the likes of Dundalk regulars actually stepping up for Dubai. Alfredo Arcano, Freescape, Settle for Bay. And he's also got a South American sprinter that's after joining the stable, Tate O'Key, which is hoping that'll go for the big one on World Cup night. But the same owners as Settle for Bay after snapping up this Koibeg did very well for Pat Murphy. I think he won 4 times for Pat and recorded a 3-time around this time last year. Now, David didn't mention anything or anything like that, but I do think he's after doing a good bit of buying here. I think this horse he's what, 82 now. He's off a 4-month break, but you know, it looks, to me on paper, looks a match between him and War Hero, who ran well there last night. So
I wouldn't rule out Have a Nice Day as well. Johnny Flyn's horse is off a break, and he's not bad.
He is handicapped to win.
Yeah,
well, I think we've been saying that for quite some time now.
He's a typical oratorio, very, very straightforward, genuine horse who finds plenty for pressure. And the boy Simison is well able to ride. Good young lad. And if there were money for it, I'd be a little bit worried if he could get out in the front end.
Yeah, look, if this Koibeg is anyway solid in the market, like you saw Alfredo Arcano ran off a big break there the first night back at Dundalk, and he defied, like his ability got him through in the night, fair enough. But I think this Koibeg, he might be able to win a few for the connections.
Good stuff. Right, let's move on to the 7 o'clock. And last year when we did this show, Clear Skies was a filly we talked about week in, week out. She did 5 and 6, but she started in a maiden. This guy, Too Precious, looking to make it 5 on the spin in handicaps. That's an incredible effort, isn't it?
Yeah, she kind of after her first couple of handicap forays, it was hard to know where she was going. Was she actually going to progress? And all of a sudden, out of nothing, it's just amazing. She's really relative to the surface. Again, by Holy Roman Emperor, a stallion that I really like. Just honest, genuine horses. A lot of them progress as well. And you know, once she gets a strong pace, she's very, very effective. And I think she went up 7 for winning the last day, but
for the four wins so far, she's only actually gone up £12. It's kind of incredible, 78 to 90, like.
Yeah, I think Marcan got up on the nod last night. I actually backed 2 horses in photo finishes last night, and both were beaten. Marcan was one of the horses who won. Both of the horses were on the inside in the photos, but they just held on. He was one of them. He's interesting under a penalty because he's unexposed over the trip, but she just has her way of going that makes her. She just travels through a race, finds plenty, and she's winning with a bit in hand.
Yeah, absolutely. Right, move on to the 7:30. Johnny, you like one here in this Division 1 of the 10 furlong maiden. I mean, this is what a way to finish before Christmas, eh? These 2 divisions is 10 furlong handicap. Go on, though. I've
in the past have given out about their insistence on dividing these handicaps because I think it kind of brings down the quality. But as I've gotten, I suppose, involved in a few horses, and you see the balloting situation, and when they're actually maintaining reasonable prize money, you know, it's probably a good idea. So, you know, at least it gives these low-grade horses a chance. And one of them is Made in Manhattan. This should win, really, or should at least be very, very close to winning. She's dropping slightly back in trip. She's been running well. The last it was a 1.5 miles. It was a bit of a muddling race. Ben Cohen was very quiet on her. Rides again tomorrow. I think both of these divisions are poor, and I'm fairly confident she should be thereabouts.
Yeah, I'd make a similar argument for Stealth if you draw a line through his last run. Previously, he was third behind.
Quite frustrating.
Yeah, very frustrating. But the run like behind Too Precious 2 runs ago should be enough to get in the frame. You like anything in that, Brian, or are you going to
in the second division, I was kind of
the 8 o'clock. Yeah,
in the 8 o'clock, I was looking at taking a flyer on this Mr. Moon Dance. Now it hasn't run on the flat. I think it's the last time he ran on the flat. He won a Navan handicap in 2015. That was when he was with Tim Doyle. Look, he's been campaigned over hurdles recently, but you've got the Hef on your side. He's off a mark of 50. He's reasonably
the Hef on your side and a mark of 50. Eh? Right, let's cast our mind back to last week. Then we called over to Sarah Lynham and her pretty stunning training facilities over in Meath. I mean, you're a new trainer, attracting owners. I mean, that's just one of the different ways you can do it, but it is a challenge, isn't it?
It's a real challenge, I have to say. Like, I know I'm very lucky. I have really good facilities here because I share with Dad. But just, you know, sometimes you go to the races and they're fairly empty and that, so it can be a little bit disheartening. I suppose Dundalk kind of has a party atmosphere. A lot of people go there. There's a lot of Christmas parties right now, and you know, it's kind of hopping at the minute. So, but I don't know. It's hard for people to get staff and it's hard for people to get owners. But you just have to keep ticking away. I
suppose on Dundalk, I mean, without it, would you realistically be able to sort of have the start-off career that you have?
No, it's been a massive help to me, in fairness, because, you know, I felt like the flat season, the turf season anyway, just kind of ended suddenly and it's like the rug is pulled from under you. So it's nice to be able to keep up a little momentum. You know, Dundalk's going to be there every week. I'd rather if it was on twice a week maybe, and if we finished a little earlier it would be nice for myself and the staff. But no, it's a great facility.
And so that would have been tricky before. I mean, I spoke to previous trainers about it and talk about like the difficulty of attempting to run a business. It just runs from sort of March to September, and then that's it, and you don't have anything else.
Yeah, I don't know if the flat season is planned out great in Ireland. Like, I mean, we start off and then suddenly Punchestown happens, and we have to have a break for a week for the national hunt trainers. And then, you know, sometimes it seems there's plenty of national hunt racing on in the summer as well. So I don't know, sometimes I feel the flat trainers are a little bit hard done by, but I know I'm biased.
You are, boys. Your dad is saying you're actually down at a flat trainers meeting yesterday, so it sounds like you picked up 1 or 2 tips in it.
I don't know. I felt a bit of fish out of water there. They're all of a different age group, mostly men, but sure, we'll see. I don't know if they listen to me.
And is that something you found? Is that something that's been an issue for you, being a female in that kind of world?
It's just kind of a general thing in life, isn't it? But racing is going well at the minute. Like, Rachel Blackmore's kind of flying the flag for women, and I was lucky enough to work for Gay Waterhouse, and I suppose she's quite inspirational, not to be too over the top. You know, she does so well, but I think times are changing, and people do seem, you shouldn't call it open-minded, but I suppose you kind of say that they are open-minded, but I haven't had many barriers, I don't think.
Right, well, what a place to train racehorses, just absolutely stunning sight. Right, let's get our best bets of the Friday Night Lights, then of course our final show of the year here. Right, Johnny, start with you.
Right, let's do this. Each way treble, Red Avenger, strong pace. He's more than enough ability to win off 67. That's in the 5 o'clock. In the 7:30, Made in Manhattan. Again, she's more than enough ability to win one of these. And the last race I hadn't actually gotten into yet, Miss Louise. Dot loves a lot of horses. She's gotten some from John Joe Walsh, and she seems to have a fair few horses with what's the assistant?
Kieran Murphy.
Kieran Murphy. Lovely people, and I hope they do well in the Midlands. And they've a fair bit of artillery at the moment. Miss Louise, drawn 12 over the extended 10 furlongs is tricky because they go to the bend fairly quickly. But if she can get prominent, she ran really well the last day, and I think this is a terrible race. I couldn't really find anything in it. 2 of her last 3 runs would be good enough to get in the shake-up. She was behind Pat Flynn's horse, who's been very progressive in the black and white colours. The name escapes me. And the last night she ran behind, it was very, very solid form. She ran behind another progressive horse. A mile and a half, mile and 2 should be fine. I just hope she leads. If she leads, she'll be thereabouts. Okay, so it's Miss Louise, Red Avenger, and Made in Manhattan. Made in Manhattan. Each way treble.
Yeah, I'm going to try and land something similar.
Okay.
With the ultra consistent Alan
Sleepyhead was the Pat Flynn horse. Sorry.
Oh, yeah, Sleepyhead, ultra consistent.
Fitting. Go on.
Yeah, so we got Alan Belzane in the 5 o'clock, and we got David Marinan's new recruit Coibig in the 6 o'clock, and in the 8 o'clock, similar to Johnny, I think it's a terrible race, so I'm going to take a chance on Mr. Moondance. But if that's not me as any chance or any sort of a price in the opener, you could steam into that and put your feet up.
Roll on from there.
It's an each way 4-timer, then that'll get the ball rolling in the first.
I got That's Not Me in the 4:30, Too Precious in the 7 o'clock, and I like War Hero in the 6 o'clock for Patrick Prendergast. Thanks for watching, thanks for listening. Thanks for watching Friday Night Lights. See you again.